Hey you guys, it's me Gemstone from www.tarotforhealing.com. I hope you guys are doing really well. This reading is for the 6th of April through to the 12th, and the deck I'm going to be using is this little cute one here. I told you last week that I was thinking about using this deck, but I was excited about doing the reading for you with it, but then it was too soon because I had literally like got the deck like I think a day or two before, and so I was like, let me just read through the guidebook and kind of see the creator of the deck's interpretation of the cards, and then kind of go from there. And to be honest, I found that even though the artwork, as you know, is done by Jasmine Becker Griffith, and also the person that wrote the guidebook and stuff is J.R. Rivera, it's the artwork obviously is very different from like the traditional maybe like Rider-Waite based artwork, but the meanings behind the cards, quite a lot of them are still the similar meanings to the Rider-Waite and stuff like that. So in that respect, it wasn't that hard to transition to this deck. The only thing which I guess might stump people is the court cards, because the court cards are they're mainly based on the astrological signs associated with that court card. But still, if you already know the astrological associations, then you'll be fine. It won't be that huge of an adjustment for you. If you don't, then it might be a bit of an adjustment. But still, I would have to say I really like that change. I really do like that. I think it was something that was actually quite a smart idea. And I think the reason why I like it as well is because I think in some ways it's easier to read those cards as situations. You can obviously read them as people as well, but I think court cards can always get challenging for people because sometimes it can be difficult for you to read it as a situation or a person. But I think they work really well if you have to read it as situations, because I don't know, I just find it easier with those cards for some reason. It's weird, it's different. But yeah, so that's good. The only downside of the deck, I would say, for me, in the very beginning, I wasn't that keen when I first saw the image of the cards, because I've been waiting for this deck for ages. Like when it first came, when they first mentioned like this deck being made, I was like so excited. And then we had to deal with all the delays of the deck because it was meant to come out like in December, and it didn't come out until like March on Amazon. And I didn't want to order it from the publishers themselves because obviously I'm in the UK. Just to me, it just would have been a headache. But I did manage to get it on Amazon at a reduced price. I actually paid £16 for this deck, whereas it was going for like 28 and even higher. Like, I think because some people knew it wasn't officially out on Amazon, they were kind of taking advantage, and they put the price up even more than the price that Amazon was going to like retail it for. I haven't checked the site again, so I don't know if Amazon has like officially got them in stock, or whether it's still just like certain people like selling theirs and stuff. But the one I got is a brand new deck. It hasn't been used previously. So yeah, the downside that I found about it was that the the cards were quite heavily laminated. So what kind of happened is that there was some fraying at the side of the deck, so I had to kind of take those little bits away. And then the guidebook that came with the deck, which is this right here, um as you can see, there's little bumps at the top of the book, and so it kind of shows that it wasn't sort of cut properly in publishing, and where those bumps are, the pages were stuck together, so I had to kind of like pry the pages apart, which was a little bit annoying. But otherwise the guidebook is actually pretty good. I do like the guidebook. The only thing I would say, and maybe this is just being a bit nitpicky, um is that I wish for the court cards there was as much information as there were for the major and minor arcana cards. Because to me, the court cards had fewer information, and I feel like, especially being that most people get stumped on the court cards, it would have been really good for them to put a bit more information in those in that like section of the book. But otherwise, I did like it. It's quite good. Um, yeah, I did like it. So I picked some cards already, and so we're gonna just go straight into the reading because this it wasn't really meant to be a review video. But I just wanted to put my 2 cents about the deck itself. But I do really like it, and I have used it for myself. I haven't used it for others yet, but I feel like I will use this deck for others, especially when I get more comfortable with this deck. Now, the first card to show up at the beginning of the week is the first is the one of fire, and it's a very interesting interpretation, which in the traditional tarot would be the Ace of Wands, and to me, what this card is signifying is that it's about your inspiration, your desires, your passion. It's about procreation, and um, and to me, when I look at this interpretation, like through the artwork, it's almost you shining your own light, you being your own person, your own individual self. To me, this card does represent the self and who you are, and so and it is about what you exude out to others, and so it's almost like you can be the shining light to others. It's also about your spirituality and that being ignited within yourself, and what light do you bring to the world, because we all contain light. And so it's almost like, and I think that what our true purpose in life is to shine our light onto the world. So it's almost like, how are you doing that in your life? How are you being that shining light to others? At the same time, it is about new beginnings and creating something that is new. So for some people, again, it can be a business, it can be a child, it can be you it can be you being inspired by something or someone else. It can be you putting your energy out there into something, channeling it into something else. It's also a time where you can get really good ideas as well. But it is a kind of to me, it's like, can be like full steam ahead of you really wanting to put the energy into something that you really feel passionate about, you really want to do. And again, when I look at this interpretation, it's also about what makes you unique too, and bringing your uniqueness out there. So if you are the kind of person that you are in a public arena, it's about what makes you unique, what makes you special. We're all special in our own way, and in our own individual way, and this card can also represent that. So it might be a time where you are actually putting something out there into the world, or showing another side of yourself, or being even more expressive, and embracing what makes you different to everyone else. So it's like you're not going with the grain. You're showing, okay, this is who I am, this is what I have to offer. And it's sort of like you're in that position where you're not really that bothered about whether people accept it or not. You're just willing to just put it out there and just and just see how people deal with it, kind of thing. So I like that card. The second card that showed up is a little bit more of a challenge because it's the Five of Waters. And as you can see, it's like she looks quite sad in this card. It's quite a blue card. And then you can see looks like there's ravens. I think they're either ravens or crows in the background. And what this card is telling me, especially in relation to the first card, is that it's saying do not get stuck in a rut. Do not focus on that which is negative. Something is ending, something has been lost, but you have to think about what you have gained in the process. This is the time where you have to analyze your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions, because it feels like a lot is going to be taking place within yourself. It also might be a case of, when I look at these two cards together, it could be that you're feeling a sadness and a loss within yourself, and maybe you're not telling people about it, and maybe on the outside people think that you're okay. Maybe on the outside you're making people think that you're happy and you're coping with things, when internally you might not be feeling that way. So it's saying be honest about the way that you feel. Don't keep things locked up to yourself. I also feel like it could be a case of you retreating away and spending more time on your own. Sometimes that can be okay, but sometimes it can be very it can make your feeling of sadness even worse. And so w- depend on others for support more. Don't feel like you have to manage everything by yourself, and don't feel like you have to separate yourself from others because you're in this process of mourning and grief. It's saying to sort of let go of that which has been lost. Yes, there's a time for mourning, and so I wouldn't just instantly say, get over it, because a lot of the time we can't just get over it. We have to sort of deal with our emotions as they arise, as they come up. But it's saying don't suppress how you feel, and don't hide how you feel, because there you do have a support system around you, and I feel like you have to depend on that support system. To me, when I see crows and ravens, they do signify some kind of ending and some kind of loss and a grief that is associated with it. But also what they do is they are the opportunity to bring in new life. And so it's almost like at the beginning you have the new life. So it's saying don't worry about that which is old, or don't worry about that which you've lost, because you've gained a new sense of life, or a new sense of perspective, or a new sense of being through this loss that has taken place. It's hard to accept and it's hard to deal with, but we have to understand that that is also a principle, it's also a lesson that we have to learn in this life, is that we have to accept things that we also cannot control. And when something has decided to serve its course, we have to deal with the process of letting go, and to be able to kind of channel our energy into something else, and to look at it from, okay, instead of me looking at it from the perspective of the sadness and the grief, how can I look at this from a point of view that gives me some kind of comfort and reassurance that things are going to be okay? Because we have to understand that it's not about the circumstances we're in, it's more about the way we choose to look at them and how we cope with them. And if we can find a coping strategy that is that helps us to deal with things in a healthy way, then we will find that it's much easier for us to cope with the circumstances that we're in. And then, interestingly enough, I did shuffle up this deck and I did actually select the cards from different sections of the deck, but we still ended up with two cards being next to each other that are you know, usually are next to each other when you get the deck new, and it's the Six of Waters. So you've gone from the Five of Waters to the Six of Waters. What this shows me is that there's a sense of progression that is happening within your cards. You've started with a new beginning that has brought about a sense of change. So you've gained something, but you've lost something else. But then in the end, things can be brought into harmony if you look at things from a healthy perspective. And then with the Six of Waters, it's showing me that you have support around you. As you see, she has these oh, what do you call them again? She has, oh my gosh, my brain is completely blank. Sometimes that happens. I've probably forgot the name, but you guys know what they are. Seahorses, that's it. Oh my gosh, where's my brain at? I know these things. So silly. They're seahorses. And she has them around her, and what these seahorses are showing her is that they're comforting her. The Six of Swords is Six of Waters is about you getting that support from others, getting support from friends, especially getting support from people that really love and care about you. The Six of Waters can represent the past, it can represent people from the past, or people that have been in your life for a very long time, like since the time you were a child. It also might be saying to you, what did you do as a child that helped you through moments of feeling sad? Children have a way of looking at things with a very fresh perspective. And I think children, in some ways, they're very resilient. They can deal with things that as we become older, it's like we find it hard to deal with certain things, but they can sort of take things in their stride, sometimes a bit better than we can as adults. So it's almost like saying, maybe there is something about your childhood, or even something about dealing with your inner child. When you actually are able to understand your inner child better, you can kind of understand more about where you are coming from in your older years as an adult. Your inner child is sort of the part of yourself that is it's almost a part of yourself that you can interact with to kind of gain more understanding of where you've become, or where your life has taken you as an adult. Because there's so much that we learn in our childhood. Our childhood is our foundation in life, because everything else that we do as an adult builds up on the childhood that we had from the very beginning when we were very young. So sometimes even connections of loss and sadness, it could be saying, do you have to address issues of loss and sadness that you went through as a child? Maybe because a parent was absent, maybe because of a loss you went through with a child, maybe even a loss of a parent, or just something that has maybe this sadness is even connected with something even from your childhood. Or even if it's not directly, sometimes it can be sort of indirectly connected as well, because sometimes events repeat themselves in our lives. Like there's patterns that we go through in our lives that we've been through so many times, and it's because of maybe something that we just either haven't addressed as children, or something that just started when we were children. But what I feel with this card is that it's saying that you have the support that you need. It's saying be around people, don't be alone by yourself. And it's also saying that things are going to get better. That's what I'm really seeing with these cards, is that things are going to get better the more support that you have. I almost feel like some of you guys might even be going to some kind of event or party or something where you're around people that you know and that make you happy as well. Or maybe you're even going to a party um that is hosted by a friend from the past, or somebody again that you have some kind of history with as well. Or maybe somebody is coming back from the past, maybe somebody you haven't heard from in a really long time contacts you and is like, oh, do you want to meet up for this and that and whatever. Or but I feel like it's almost like you've been among a group of people, because as you can see here, she also looks very well dressed in this card. So it could be you dressing up and going out somewhere as well, which I feel like will be really good, because maybe you haven't been out in quite some time. Maybe you've been spending again a lot more time just on your own, and maybe you haven't been around people so much. And it's kind of saying that in socializing, I feel like it'd be really good for you. It could even be saying that in socializing is where this inspiration comes from. Maybe you tell somebody about things that you're going through and they give you the inspiration to be able to help you and make things better for you, give you a new sense of perspective. Again, providing you that light in the darkness. So, yes, those are the three cards. Now, underneath the deck is the Six of Air. So you got two sixes coming in. So again, it's showing that things are getting better. Don't get stuck in the rut, because things are going to be looking good for you. The Six of Air is traditionally the Six of Swords, and it's an interesting interpretation, this one, because you can see she has all these symbols all over her. And from my memory, when what they wrote in the book about the symbols is that it's almost like she uses the symbols in order to sort of gain understanding, or she has this sort of a wisdom understanding of the unknown through these symbols. And so the Six of Air, what it's kind of saying to me is, again, things are moving. Where in the beginning you were stuck in this rut, things were negative, you was in a negative space or maybe even a negative environment. It's saying that things are progressing for you and they're going to be getting better. You're going to be even moved physically, maybe moved out of an environment that maybe wasn't conducive to you, and now you're going to be in a better environment. So it could mean a physical travel, but it also can be meaning that this can be something that can take place even on a mental level. You might just be feeling just, mentally like, things were just going on in your mind that just maybe just wasn't good for you, good for your thoughts or good for your well-being. And then now it's like that's going to be getting better. You're going to be feeling maybe less stress or less angst. But what is interesting to me about these symbols and stuff is, to me, they kind of represent what is unknown wisdom, unknown knowledge. And so, in that respect, it might be saying that at times of difficulty and struggle, it's best for you to resort to a spiritual text, or depend on your spirituality, depend on what you practice spiritually in order for you to make it through challenging times as well. and is for you to understand and discover the deeper knowledge, the universal knowledge of why we have to go through these processes in life, why we have to go through our challenges in life. Sometimes when we go through challenges, the first thing we think of is why me? Why did I have to go through this process? But when you understand sort of the deeper meaning, the deeper understanding, you will see that there's no struggle that you go through where there wasn't something to be gained out of that experience. So it's like you have to be able to see things from the higher perspective, from a bigger perspective, from a more universal perspective, in order for you to really understand what it is that you're experiencing. Because it's like there is a hidden agenda, there is a secret agenda that is also taking place here. And so it's like don't lose that, or don't overlook that. Look into what that is, and then I feel like that will also help you to feel better about your circumstances as well. So I do like these cards, because even though there's a bit of like this kind of going on, things are kind of going like that afterwards, so it's good. So I'll see you guys. This has turned into quite a long video, and then I'll be announcing the winners. But I'm gonna have to do it slightly differently, because I said that I'll get 10 of whoever picked the correct card. But now it's turned out only a few people picked the correct card. But I'm still gonna do the 10 readings, so I might have to actually pull some additional cards to see if I can have some additional winners, and then have the 10 people. So if you haven't checked out that other video and you do want to be in for winning a free reading, you do still have time to comment and write whatever you want to write. So do that, because I am soon going to be taking that video down and closing everything, because today is officially like the last day. So if you are interested in that, like, do literally get there now, get there on Wednesday, because then I'm going to take it down. So I'll see you guys. Bye.